So you're new to Genshin, you're doing some 10 pulls, and you get the newest 5-star Emilie. Now, what do you get with Emilie besides, well, the newest 5-star? Well, Emilie is a Dendro-wielding polearm user whose entire kit revolves around the burning reaction. So this is kind of newer territory for a lot of Genshin players that did not use the burning reaction before. And in this video, we're going to look at the basics of Emilie. Now, as you might be able to tell, I am using the trial Emilie. I am making this video within like an hour, less than an hour of her coming out. So I have not had a chance to get her. However, I am going to be trying to pull her. One, because I like her design, but I also really love Dendro reactions. Dendro reactions are my favorite reactions in the game, and a lot of my teams revolve around Dendro reactions. So of course, I'm going to try and get Emilie to add her to my Dendro collection. So we are real quick going to look at the build Genshin has given us in the trial for Emilie. Emilie is 80 out of 80 with almost 20,000 HP, 2240 attack, and then 155 EM. Her split is 56.2 over 182.9 with 135 ER, and she does have a Dendro goblet. For a weapon, she is running her signature, which we'll talk kind of about a little bit later on, as well as some other options. For artifacts, she is running Unfinished Reverie, which is the newer set. We will talk about that a little bit later on. She is C0, and then her talents are 888. Now, real quick, we are going to look at her passives. Her first passive. Each time that her skill collects 2 cents, which we'll talk about, it will consume the cents and release a huge amount of Dendro damage, equal to 600% of her attack. Now, it also says that this is not considered skill damage, meaning that it will not increase with the level of her skill. That is important to note. Her second passive, Emilie deals increased damage to burning enemies based on her attack. With every 1,000 attack, it increases damage dealt by 1,500 with a max at 3,600, meaning we want around 2,400 attack on Emilie to get the maximum of this passive. So the team is Emilie, Kirara, Gaming, and Benny. None of these characters have 4-piece Deepwoods, meaning that Emilie would be doing more damage if somebody like Kirara, like my C6 Kirara, has 4-piece Deepwoods on her. Emilie would be doing more damage if we had a 4-piece Deepwood user. That is something as just a side note about that. None of these characters have 4-piece Deepwoods. Now, let's go look at how Emilie's playstyle and kit works. So her normal attacks are going to be normal. I do love the animation though. Like they almost look, they make her look really elegant with these normal attacks. They look really good. Her charge attack is the Raiden Shogun variant, where it is an upward slash, not like a corkscrew like Hu Tao. Now we're gonna look at her skill, and her skill is where we really start to get into her kit. Her skill is going to summon this Dendro lamp kind of thing, right? Perfume bottle, lamp, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to do intermittent Dendro damage. It's going to do Dendro damage every so often. That is it. Until we add some pyro into the mix and get the burning reaction. Once we get the burning reaction into it, we start collecting those scents that it talked about. Notice that this lamp now looks different. There are 4 bells, 2 bells and then 4 bells around it. This lamp has levels. Once you cause the burning reactions, it is going to start to collect levels. Whenever it has 2 of these little bells on the side of it, or tulips, or I'm not exactly sure what they are. They look like bells to me, so I'm going to call them bells. It is going to go up a level. Once it has 4 of them, it is going to be maximum level. Now, if we use her skill again, it replaces the lamp and it has to start over. So you're really only going to be using her skill to place the first one. After you replace the first one, you are then going to be using her burst to refresh it. So if we use her burst, it is going to put a level 3 lamp on the field for roughly 3 seconds, a little bit below. And it is going to do a ton of Dendro damage. Now, if we had a lamp that already existed from her skill on the field, it is going to like shelf that lamp. It is going to collect that lamp, take that lamp, whatever you want to call it. And it is going to do the level 3 lamp. After the level 3 lamp is done, it will take that level 2 that we had, or whatever level it was from her skill, and put it back on the field, right? So if we have her skill up, right, and it is a level 2, and we use her burst, it takes that one away, uses her burst, and then puts that same one back, but it refreshes its time, so that way you can have a permanent uptime. You can always have a high level lamp on the field. You don't have to restart back to a level 1 every single time. Once you get all 4 tulips on the lamp, you can just keep it on there. Now, something else that you're going to notice is that there are going to be instances of like 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 damage. Once the lamp has collected those 4 roses, 4 tulips, whatever, 4 lamp thingies, lampshades, whatever we want to call them. Once it's collected 4 of those, it will start to fire off a very strong instance of Dendro damage. That is that 600% of her attack, Dendro attack, right? We have to keep enemies burning, so that way it'll collect those scents. Once it collects 2 of the scents, so it'll happen every so often, you will see a different animation come up out of it and hit an enemy. That is the instance of that crazy high damage. So we need to make sure that we are keeping enemies burning, because it is going to make her do more damage, right? And again, with how her artifact sets work, we want to keep her off the field. So she would be considered a sub DPS or an off-field DPS. Now, with that being said, she doesn't have problem collecting energy. With 135 ER, and then her weapon's giving her a little bit more through its passive, she is still able to have a permanent uptime of her higher level lamp, right? Not the highest, because only the burst produces the highest, but then once the burst is finished, it will replace it with that level 2 lamp, and we never have to use her skill again. So we're going to use her skill to set up the lamp, to bottle. Is it a perfume bottle? Because her whole thing's perfume. It might be a perfume bottle. I'm going to start calling it that now. Her skill, if we use her skill to put the perfume bottle lamp thing down, once it gets to the higher level, once it gets all 4 tulips, I'm just changing words. Once it gets all 4 of those little markers around it, then we're only going to use her burst, because then we never have to start off again at a lower level lamp perfume bottle thingy majigger. So we need to keep enemies burning. So we need to have enough Dendro to keep the burning reaction going, and enough Pyro to keep the burning reaction going. So that way she will do more damage. So pairing her with like Gaming might be really good, because he does do a ton of damage on his own, and he's able to keep the Pyro on them. Now we're going to look at an early game basics artifact set, and I'm going to say a 2-piece resolution and 2-piece exile. This is going to allow you to get attack percent, which we want on her, and energy recharge. And we don't need that much energy recharge on her to keep her burst up, right? Like I said, she's only got 135 ER. That's not a lot, and her burst only costs 50. So that's a super low burst cost, and so you don't need a lot of ER to keep it with a permanent uptime. We cannot click on these artifacts to look at their stats. However, I'm going to say for the main stats, you're probably going to want attack percent, because her whole kit revolves around attack, Dendro Goblet, and then crit rate or crit damage circlet. If you're running a crit weight weapon, then just do a crit damage circlet, right? Because these Dendro attacks, the massive damage ones, can crit. We are going to quickly read through this artifact set that's on her. Unfinished Reverie. It's going to get up her attack, but then it's also going to revolve around taking her off the field and having burning enemies around. You want burning enemies around, and you want her off the field to get the most damage out of it, which hints to how her playstyle is, because this artifact set was built for her. Now for her weapons, obviously her signature is really good. It's going to get a crit rate, and then it's also going to increase your attack and give her a damage bonus and give her a little bit of energy. I think that this is one of those signatures that is only going to be good on the character that it is supposed to be on, right? Only one character is going to be able to fully take use of this pole arm. If you don't have her signature, let's look at a couple different options that you can do. If I get Emilie, which I'm really hoping that I can, I'm probably going to be putting Deathmatch on her. One is going to get up the crit rate. It has a decent high base attack, but its passive is also going to give a more attack to Emilie, which is the stat that we want to raise, right? So I think that Deathmatch is going to be a really, really good option for her because of that, because it's going to increase her crit rate and her attack, which is going to be good. Now the other Battle Pass polearm, which is going to be Battle of the Fjord, it's going to get up EM as its passive, which isn't as good. Yes, it's going to increase her burning damage, but it's not going to increase her personal damage, right? Emilie is like Chevy. Whenever we got Chevy, we thought that she was going to be buffing overloaded reaction, but she was buffing pyro and electro characters through the overloaded reaction. This is not buffing burning, it is buffing her through burning. So we don't necessarily care about her EM a lot. Now for a free-to-play weapon, I would probably say Moonpiercer. Yes, it does get up EM as its main stat, but its passive also gets up the attack once you cause burning. And with this, with it being 16% attack at R5, it's going to be 32. Because it's craftable, you can more likely get this to R5. So you can get an extra 32% attack on Emilie and some EM. So I don't think it's going to be, I think that this would be your best free-to-play option. I might be wrong. I might be changing that at some point. But from first initial looking, I think that Moonpiercer is going to be her best free-to-play option. Now that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or someone else will be sure to answer it, and I'll see you in the next one.